Welcome to Pigeon River Farm, doing farming right. I'm Robert Brown, the owner of Pigeon River Farm. Thank you for viewing. Good evening. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about homesteading and tools that you can use on the farm, specifically tractors. Tractors are the key ingredients to having any type farm, but most small farms are going to need some level of tractor operation unless you're going to do purely vegetables on a very small scale. So you may have spent a lot of money purchasing farmland, buying a used farm, putting the infrastructure together. Most often it doesn't come with any kind of equipment, so you need to make an acquisition of equipment. The first temptation is to go to the dealership and spend life savings, more than a new car, on a tractor. Bad, at least my opinion. This is all based on my opinion on things. That would be a really bad decision. You're going to need that capital for many other implements, seed, fertilizer, you name it, all the way down the pike. So how can we get into an inexpensive tractor and still have money to spare and something usable? Well, let me tell you my opinion and how we've done it here. We have the means to buy new, but I need to keep that money for other sources, other operations. So what we've done years ago is we're kind of partial to international. This can be applied to any older tractor. And I'm going to talk about the least expensive option that I believe is out there to modernize an old tractor. So in the case here, we took a Farmall M. Farmall M was one of the largest produced tractors from the mid-40s, actually from the 1940 through the early 50s. Tractor was a real workhorse, and it came in two different flavors. One was a narrow front end, one was a wide front end. Wide front ends are very rare, but the narrow front end one is usable as long as you're not in a hilly location. If you're on hills, the answer is absolutely do not purchase a narrow front end tractor. So it would, in its original state, with a simple drawbar hitch, you could utilize it for pulling many implements, discs, plows, so on. You can read up the specification on what they can actually pull. But to modernize, there's so many implements today that are all 3-point. An old tractor like that, and I could say a rough price on it would be between $1,000 and $2,000 for a running unit. Not necessarily a real perfect one, but one that's running. But the 3-point is one of the keys to it. Well, I probably should say is the key to it. And they make a lot of aftermarket kits that you can install on these tractors that takes a $2,000 tractor, modernizes, at least modernize enough that you can use 3-point equipment, and for about another $1,000 if you're a handy mechanic, and for $3,000 you could be into a tractor that's very usable. You can pull the implements, you've got the 3-point attachments that can go on there, and it really can send you in the right direction. There's a number of other options too. There's so many different brands of tractors out there. So I'm talking again about the older gas-powered tractors. Gas versus diesel. That's probably I got a technical background, so I understand both very well. Gas are more from a convenience standpoint. Gas work very good for cold starting, extreme temperatures. But fuel efficiency, amount of fuel consumption per hour, is significantly less than it would be on a diesel. So diesel is more going to be for higher horsepower, not always, but for higher horsepower, better fuel economy. So them are the considerations you should give between the two engine types. But in the case of older gas engines, they run on regular pump gasoline, so you may not have a storage tank when you first get going, so you can just use regular pump gasoline on them. They will start real easy. There's a lot of little nuances that you need to understand, but overall, one of the models, and you can see here from a couple of the pictures, they've worked so well for us. I'm still running, that's a 1950 Farmall M. It's kind of my favorite tractor on the farm. We got some bigger horsepower tractors, but it's just the one I use. It's used every day. We had a haul a bunk wagon out all winter long for the cattle. It's the tractor that I use all winter long. It always starts, I mean, it's been sub-zero, and it starts up, it works. I've run it when it's 95 degrees chopping hay, and I've run it at 20 below zero moving the bunk wagon. So it works for many different purposes. So if you can see from the different pictures that we displayed, a very good option. So the only thing that's, I guess we'd say the downside of that model, the International, is the older production. I see pre-54, 53, came with non-live hydraulics. They had to call a belly pump. So as soon as you push the clutch in, you lost hydraulics. It's going to be a major deterrent when you put a 3-point on there, because it won't have full-time hydraulics. You have to have the clutch engaged to get the pump to run. So you got to get your timing. I've driven them that way. They work. Again, it's all about trying to save dollars. You know, if we look at an equivalent, they're about a 40 horsepower tractor. To get in a 40 horsepower tractor in any one of the brand line, you know, John Deere, International, Kubota, so on, you're looking typically way north of $20,000 to $30,000 for something that's going to be much more modern, does a lot more for you, but magnitudes of expense. So just my advice is to consider trying to do it inexpensively until you really find out what you need for a tractor, and at that point you can consider making a deeper investment. Well, in our next section here on homesteading, we're going to talk about implements that you will use on a tractor. Well, thank you very much, and have a great evening.